Well, hi there, welcome to the Opie Thorn Alliance. If you can, smash the like button, it really helps the channel. Hope you've been enjoying the videos so far. In today's video, we'll be reviewing, discussing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3, and joining me today is Luke to discuss the episode. So what was your thoughts about the episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus?
Oh, I thought it was good. It's kind of it's opened up kind of where the show's going. The first two episodes kind of gave us a backstory and kind of built what was happening, and this was the episode where we finally realised, kind of not quite sure who all the villains are, but we kind of know what the motives are of the villains who've been introduced, and we can kind of see where the show's going to go. So this is probably the pivotal episode so far, and then moving forward we'll find out a bit more about how the series wraps up. What about yourself?
Yeah, it was a pretty good episode. Did you like how it started with the usual, I guess, kind of like those usual things in WandaVision, kind of those commercials? We kind of got a commercial.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Do you remember what the commercial was?
In WandaVision?
No, in the start of...
talking about this Johnny Walker, what he's kind of working for.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I guess it's a funny thing they keep adding into the...
commercials.
Yeah, into the Marvel universe. Like in WandaVision, it was funny, but it didn't actually have anything to do with the show. It was just something they added. So, I don't know, it's kind of a funny touch. Maybe it might be explained further. Maybe there's something more about it that we don't know.
Maybe it's because Marvel's a brand, so it's kind of where showing commercials because Marvel's a brand.
Possibly, or there might be something really cool behind it. Like maybe there's a future show that explains where all these ads are coming from, or I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of, because I think in WandaVision they had an ad for something that was made by like Stark Productions or something that was made by Tony Stark's dad's company, and which is kind of cool because then it ties in. So yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with that.
And the episode starts with John Walker, the new Captain America, in the house of where the basically the faction of the
Flag Smashers.
Yeah, the Flag Smashers were in the previous episode with the person that was kind of looking after them, and he's kind of trying to intimidate them, but it didn't work.
Yeah, we find out a bit more about that because they talk about these Flag Smashers, but then there seems to be, as you said, there's this other faction. There's this girl with the red hair and she has the British accent, and she has like another guy with him, which I think his accent sounds Australian almost, and they're like a separate group. And then we were introduced to the last episode where they go to this, it's like a hostel or some guy's house, and he offers them refuge for a temporary time because he said there's people around the world that believe in what you're doing. So there's people that want to protect these guys, and then that's why like Captain America tries to intimidate him, and the guy kind of doesn't care at all because he's loyal to whatever these faction of the Flag Smashers are doing. But we're led to believe that they are some way separate because they've stolen something from a character they keep referring to later as the Power Broker. And so they're part of the Flag Smashers but have their own agenda, which they kind of explain through the episode. There's obviously more to it, but they keep making reference to those things like GRC, some kind of like amnesty group that's trying to recover what happened due to the due to what happened in the blip.
We discovered a bit more of the motives of the Flag Smashers. Later, though, I actually watched a video. Her character is actually based off a comic book character, but Marvel have actually changed her character and made her be a female, but the character of the comic book is actually male.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting. But her motives in this show is to basically cure people from disease because someone that she knows is dying. So with the serum, she wants to cure people from disease, but also kill other people that came back from the blip. So she's she's
Yeah, it still confuses me a bit about the Flag Smashers because they talk about this one world, one people idea.
Yeah.
But then they seem to be angry about the blip. They want things to go back to how it was. But then, yeah, I'm not quite sure about their motive, whether it's something I'm missing or it's something we're not led to believe yet. But it's clear that her motive is to get serum and cure people that are sick, but like at what cost? Turning every single sick person into a super soldier? Like that's just dangerous. So, but at least we kind of understand why she's being followed, that she's taken this serum from someone, which they keep referring to as the power broker, and we will then discover later, I guess, like why, or like who this power broker is. And then what else is going on at the time is we're introduced to what's Sam and Bucky up to.
They're, with the ending of episode 2, they go to a prison in Germany where Zemo is being held, and then they go in there, and then Bucky says because of his Hydra connections that he should talk to him and Sam shouldn't, and then they have conversations that we have a common threat with the Winter Soldier program and things like that. So he leaves the room, and then we get to a other scene when Bucky talks about, I have a plan, and then we get this other scene about Zemo leaving the prison.
Yeah, it's a cool little section of the show.
It's like Mission Impossible.
And they kind of make Zemo out. He's somewhat. I find him a little bit likable in this, for someone that is a villain but is helping out the good guys. He's somewhat likable, and yeah, it is. It's funny. There's the scene where he tries to. When he sees the Winter Soldier, he says a few trigger words that were what he used to use to get like Bucky to become bad and like kill people. So he tries them, and they obviously don't work because Bucky's now trained himself out of not being affected by it.
He's getting therapy sessions now.
Yeah, and then so it shows Bucky explaining to Sam how. He basically says, we need to break Zemo out. And he goes, how are you going to do that? And then he explains it. And as he's explaining it, they're showing it happening. And then suddenly he shows up.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of showing it, but I guess it makes sense because Sam would never be on board with the plan. So it wouldn't make sense for him to tell Sam the plan and then try and break him out. It makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah, and they do it by sending this other prisoner message of... hitting other prisoners, so there's a riot going on, and then Zemo has a key, and then he gets out, and then he goes into a prison uniform. Yeah,
it seems a bit convenient. You think that there should have been some kind of planning to make it happen. It seems a bit easy that Bucky that never been to the prison before but knew how to break someone out. But I guess it's a TV show. It's not meant to be realistic.
What's moving the plot forward?
Yeah, and then we see that Zemo has this. They meet in some kind of garage, and it's full of like old fancy cars, and we kind of work out that Zemo's family's rich, and in some way they were royalty in Sokovia.
And then we get this dialogue about how kind of the events in Ultron, how it kind of affected the situation, and then. Yeah, things kind of happen, and then things go on, and then he talks about how the broker they have to go to this country that we don't know about. Yeah,
Zemo refers to. He said basically he goes, I think I know where this is happening. We need to go to this place, and I think it's called Madripoor.
Mm.
I don't know if it's a real place. I haven't looked it up, but I think they refer to it as being in Thailand or some part of Asia. But it's kind of meant to be like some futuristic, somewhat city that's dark, and they have lots of neon lights, and it's like a criminal hotspot, and you only go there if you're a bad person, which to me doesn't make sense, but they go there, and then they have to impersonate a few different people to make
Basically Mission Impossible style.
Yeah, so what? The Winter Soldier has to
be himself.
Yeah, he has to be himself, but he has to be the bad version of himself, and Zemo, and then
Sam's this other version.
Yeah, it's something tiger or lion, and basically some like dark skinned gangster, and they get him to pretend to be him, and no one's suspicious. They just assume it's him, which is, I don't know if that's somewhat racist, just because they have the same colour skin that they look alike, because they don't really look that much alike when they show the pictures. But it works.
How did you find the scenes and the location with how they walk on the bridge, and then kind of the atmosphere? Because we haven't seen this place at Marvel before. It
was cool. It kind of reminded me of like something you'd see in like a DC film, of the way they portray like Gotham City. That there's always like something dodgy happening. Like you can't walk the streets at night, and there's criminals, and it looks good. In theory, it wouldn't exist, but it works for the plot of the film. But for a city that's meant to be in Asia, I didn't see a single person that was Asian. So that was a bit interesting about it. And they're all like kind of big, tattooed, bikey looking guys that lived in Madripoor.
And then Sam has to drink this drink that has a snake in it for appearances.
Yeah, because that's apparently the favourite drink of this other guy that he's impersonating. So that's kind of a funny scene.
Yeah. And then they get an audience with this other lady that apparently serves the power broker.
Yeah, so they wanted to get a meeting, and then I think that they say no, and then he's like, oh, well, like basically asked Bucky to go full Winter Soldier mode and try and fight a few people, and eventually they agree to have a meeting with them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what what her role is, and I guess she ends up being killed, but she somehow services this power broker, but maybe is some influential gangster in this city or something to do with their nightclub. But yeah, she doesn't last long. Basically, well, you tell us what happens with Sam and his phone.
Well, the sister, of course, out of all the times, annoyingly rings at that specific time, and then she actually says Sam twice, but the first time it's like they didn't get that it wasn't the other person that they thought he was, and then the second time it's like, oh, what? You're this person, Sam, and then it's like they realise.
Yeah, it's a bit convenient that he happens to have his phone on him and it's not on silent, and his sister rings him.
Yeah, what I thought was annoying, because it's like you have to ring about the boat now.
Yeah, and then he just wants to ignore the call, but the lady's like, oh, well, you need to answer it, put it on speaker. She's a bit suspect of him.
Yeah.
And then, and he does a good job of trying to pretend to be this gangster guy and speak rudely to his sister.
Yeah.
But then, it falls apart when she says his name's Sam, and then they're like, oh, well, kill him.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough. Like, who says that this other guy's name wasn't Sam, or it's a nickname? But that was enough to send him over the edge.
And then we get this sniper who is interesting at that specific moment, is covering them and basically shoots all the other people in the room, and don't know who it is at the moment, but who did you think it was? I kind of thought it was the person that we find out who it is, but who did you think?
I didn't. I was thinking maybe it had something to do with Captain America. Like maybe it was one of the military, maybe, that had been following them and was going to help them. But yeah, it wasn't. I guess that explains. I was thinking why, like, they talked about Captain America about being able to track Sam, but I'm guessing Sam doesn't have his suit on him, and that's why he's not being tracked.
Yeah. It's US property, so he hasn't got on, so can't track him.
Yeah, so they're getting chased out, and then all these people's phones start going off, and there's like a
John Wick style.
Yeah, there's a message saying there's a bounty out for whoever can kill these people.
Yeah.
Which then they go around one corner and there's like 3 people chasing them, and this sniper takes them out, and then suddenly no one else is after them after that point. Which I think if they sent a bounty out to the whole city, there'd still be more people chasing them.
Well, it's to make the other action scene when they're at where all the garages are with Sarah Carter more dramatic and to show off that she's a badass, basically.
Yeah, so what do we find out about Sarah?
That she's been kind of what happened with Sam and Captain America and Black Widow. She's been on the run since the Avengers movies, and somehow she's kind of become a bounty hunter herself, and she's got this rich house, and all this stuff has happened, and yeah.
I think it's clever how they've written the universe so far. That there's these villains and heroes both created by what happened in Sokovia. And then we've got...
And the snap as well.
Yeah, and then the snap, how it's affected people. And then we've also got how there was the Civil War, like Zemo blew up and killed the King of Wakanda. And then because of that, Bucky got framed. And then the Civil War happened because of that. And then because of the Civil War, there's still the effects that some people are considered criminals, even though they're good guys. They just happen to side with Captain America instead of Iron Man. So it's really clever. There's so many dimensions to the show. Like, people can enjoy it as they go, but if you've really watched all the Marvel movies, you will appreciate it more because of the intertwining stories. Like, you look at it, you've got Zemo, who's... Well, the last 2 shows that came out, we've got Wanda, her whole backstory surrounds the war that happened in Sokovia. Then we have the next somewhat villain in the next show, Zemo, who hates superheroes because of his family getting killed as...
What's fair enough.
As like collateral damage in a fight between heroes. And then we've got...
of their own creation as well, of Ultron.
Yeah, and then you've got... and then the story of Bucky, like how far that goes back, and Hydra. Like, it's a really intertwined universe. Like, if you were to sit there and draw it out how everyone's linked, they've done a really good job. Like, I don't know how other universes or shows could do such a good job. Like, they've really nailed it. And so we see Sarah, and she's affected because she's on the run because of helping out Captain America. But wouldn't you think they would put a pardon for all those people? Because they weren't bad. They were just they just disagreed.
Yeah, Bucky got a pardon.
Yeah, but I guess whether Sarah asked for one or not. But...
Well, that's why she ends up helping them, and then they go to her house, and then she leaves, and then there's a party going on. Yeah,
they go to like some kind of nightclub scene. I actually don't remember what the purpose of that was. I've been trying to think. I need to watch the episode again. But do they meet someone significant, or they just decide to go out partying?
I think so.
Yeah, I think she's like, oh, go check out the nightlife, even though there's a bounty out on your head and people want to kill you. It doesn't make any sense. And then...
Unless she was trying to get the information to find where all the sheds were where...
Yeah, that may have been it, because the scenes that follow that involve the containers sheds, so I'm guessing they went there to ask someone that might know.
Yeah.
What's the next scene from that? Is that the containers, or is it back to the... I think her name's Carly, the redhead girl that's the head of this Flag Smasher faction.
Yeah, pretty sure it went back to her.
Yeah, well, what new do we find out in that scene about her?
That her friend's dying.
Yeah, so you mentioned before, we find out a bit more about her friends dying, and yeah, I guess that's kind of it. That's the ticking point when you go, oh, okay, now we know what her motive is, what she wants this for. But then I think we also see she either gets a message or a missed call or references that this power broker's still after her, that this power broker's going to get her, but she doesn't seem too worried about it.
No.
And then we go back to the container scene?
Yeah.
So walk us through what happens there.
basically they get to see all these containers, and then Sarah tells them to go to this specific one, and then the three other male characters, Bucky, Zemo, and Sam, say, "Oh, it can't be this one." And then there's a secret area to it, and then we get to meet this scientist that, even though he's only in one scene, that's actually quite involved and has been doing a lot.
Yeah, so the the scientist, he's somehow making vials of this super serum, but then it's revealed there's only 20 vials of it, yet he's got this big factory and he's making more. Like, I don't believe that there's only 20, but I guess for the sake of the show, they put a number on it.
Mm.
And they kind of threaten him, and he gives them all their information about the power broker. And what else was it? We find out that he worked for Hydra.
Originally for Hydra, and then because of what happened to Hydra, the CIA contacted him, and then he worked for them, and for some reason they wanted more super soldiers, and then because the blip, he stopped making it, and then he reappeared basically, and then continued his work.
I think, do we also find out that, I think it makes reference to for him to find how to make this, the vials of the serum, he had to use, was it Isaiah, to try and extract from his blood and DNA how it was made. Like, there's a reference to Isaiah.
Mm.
So he's somehow involved. The thing I don't understand is, so that guy, he can make this super soldier serum. Why wouldn't he give it to himself? Like, why would you not make yourself super strong? Considering people are going to come after you and possibly kill you like they did, wouldn't you make yourself strong?
Guess that's a fair point. I guess some scientists like being more creators instead of doers.
Yeah, I guess he could still continue to be a scientist. He just happens to have a bit of strength to protect himself. It's interesting. So, as I already mentioned, he gets killed. So, tell us what happens with that.
Basically Bucky and Sam are questioning him, and then I guess Zemo is like, "Oh, I want to shoot him in the head."
Yeah, he's had enough.
Yeah.
I think it's because he's been creating super soldiers, which is like Zemo's biggest hate. So
he's no.
Yeah, so he's like, well, I don't like this guy. Shoot him.
And then the rocket launcher appears.
Yeah, so some of those guys from the nightclub scene chasing them and wanting their bounty. And then, so the rocket launcher, and then they're kind of like running from these people, and I think they hide in another container, and Sarah's fighting them.
Yeah, we get this comedy scene when Bucky's like, "Oh, go left," and Sam's like, "Go right." What was pretty funny, and then they're shooting them, and then basically Zemo seems to be doing nothing, and you think he's gonna flee, but when you think about it, he needs them as much as they need him, so it's an equal partnership at the moment. Then he puts on the mask, and then he goes super.
Yeah, I guess I'm always intrigued because you see Zemo fight in a few scenes now, and it's like he just seems like a normal guy. He must have some kind of training in fighting. He puts on the mask, which is probably a comic book reference. Like, maybe in the comic books he wears a mask, but it's not something I'm aware of. And that's kind of, we see that in the trailer. And you think, oh, that must be Zemo's the villain, and this is where his mask comes from. But then it's not. He puts it on, has his fight scene. They find another car and a crate, and then you think, okay, well, when I was watching, I thought, okay, he's put on the mask, he's about to turn on them, and he's going to bail. But no, he's still their friend. So
for the moment, though.
Yeah, I quite like him.
Yeah, he's a cool character.
I think he's kind of similar to the Winter Soldier in a way. Like, the Winter Soldier did bad things and then became a good guy, where I think Zemo, he was a good person that had something bad happen to him, and now he does bad things, but only against superheroes. He doesn't have anything against the human race. He doesn't want to rule the world. He just
not like Thanos.
Yeah, he just doesn't like superheroes because he's scared of them. He thinks they're dangerous.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, so he's not the worst guy in the world. So I like him. It's a cool story arc to put in.
he would kind of be a cool villain in The Boys.
Yeah.
He could help the boys out.
Yeah, he's very similar to like Billy Butcher, really, if you think about it. Yeah, they've both been affected by superheroes and doesn't want anything to do with them. But the thing in The Boys, the heroes are generally bad. But it's pretty similar. They get that secret serum in The Boys that makes them heroes, and they've got the super soldier serums. Yeah, it's pretty similar if you think about it.
And then Sarah talks with this other female, and then she's like, oh, we need to contact someone, and oh, things are in trouble, or... And then you kind of think, who is she going to contact? Like, if she does... Unless she's working for Sword or, like, Nick Fury in secret, like...
Yeah, it kind of leaves us on a little cliffhanger there. And I'm still unsure of what Sarah's...
motives are?
Yeah, whether she is good or bad. And yeah, so I guess we'll find out more in the next episode what her motives are. And we might even find out who this power broker is, whether it's going to be someone significant to the Marvel Universe or it's just a nobody character. Like, for all we know, it could be like Red Skull or something. It's unlikely, but it could be someone real significant to Hydra. The fact that they're not giving them a name, they keep saying the power broker. To be honest, you could probably look it up. It's probably a character in the comic books, for all we know, but I don't want to ruin it. I like to keep the surprise.
Yeah. And then at some point, we join John Walker and his partner, and then they actually go to the prison where Zemo and Bucky were, and then John Walker has a theory without actually having any evidence. We know as the audience, but he doesn't know. He's just doesn't like Sam and Bucky, but they don't like him. And then he says, "Oh, Sam and Bucky got him out." And then his friend is like, "That's a huge, that's huge to accuse them of that." And then basically, I would assume they're off the books now. He's like, "Oh, Where do you think it will go with him? Do you think John Walker, the new Captain America, will eventually... Like, he's kind of on their side, but probably wants to follow the book a bit more. Do you think he'll eventually come around to their methods and just be like, we're here to save people. We don't have to follow the rules all the time to do it? Or is it more he's on their side, but they don't accept him? I think it's more they don't accept him, but for the story, I think it would be cooler if he either becomes kind of bad to be different from Captain America, because you don't want exactly the same character.
Yeah, I guess he's got to have some point of difference. I don't know what it will be. Maybe Captain America always does the right thing, and maybe the new Captain America doesn't.
He does it, but in a grey area that suits his, I don't want to say motives, but does it. He gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm thinking kind of like a Batman kind of style. Like, Batman doesn't do what the GCPD want him to do, but he, at the end of the day, locks away villains. So maybe something along those lines might be cool. But it does allow Captain America to be an ongoing character in any future Marvel films. He's not the best captain, but he goes alright. What else are we faced with there? I think we go back to that Carly from the Flag Smashers, and I think they've stolen something from a building of some sort, and then they're discussing like, oh, we'll just blow it up. And their friends like, there's people in there, and it's like, oh well, they deserve it, kind of. She doesn't care, so it just shows that she's very fixated on her mission, and she's definitely not a good person.
Would you say the show's doing a good job to make her relatable, or it's actually making you more relatable to Zemo and different characters, and she's more just
I think they're doing it better for Zemo. I think at first she was okay, because you go, oh, well, she just wants to help sick people, but then now she wants to kill people in order to help sick people. Just
because they came back, it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, though, I don't understand. It's like, people that stayed and didn't get that stayed, that makes them better in her mind than people that came back because that makes them different.
Yeah, I don't really get it why they're unaccepting.
Yeah.
Like, I know things would have changed over the 5 years, but I think most of the world would have adapted.
Yeah.
Like, they would have been happy to have the people back. People would have wanted their loved ones back that went missing.
So do you see her as more the villain, or do you think Zemo will become more the villain that we go, I can actually see his point of view?
I think she's the main villain, but something else has got to happen because she's strongish, but you think they would overpower her pretty easily. So maybe she gets more super soldiers somewhere, or I don't know. But to me, I think she's the main villain, and the power broker is as well, but she stole from the power broker. So I don't know what the power broker's plan was with the serum. I guess it was to create an army where her plan, Carly, is to fix sick people.
But to also kill other people?
Yeah. So maybe the Flag Smashers wanted the soldiers to try and kill people that shouldn't be there because of the blip and returning, but Carly wants that, but just wants to save people as well, save her friends and sick people. So I don't know. And then we get one more scene where we get like a little like an introduction to another character.
Well, it actually starts when they go to this hotel, and then Zemo is like, have you two actually visit Sokovia? And then he's like, oh, didn't think so. And then Zemo goes, and then Sam and Bucky actually have a conversation, and then Bucky says, oh, you go ahead, because like Bucky noticed something on the ground, and then he...
Yeah, they're like these little balls. I don't know, like cameras of some sort. Like there's these little ball things they keep putting around this place.
I guess he recognised it was Wakanda technology, and then he walked to this area, and then it ended yet again, third time the charm, with introducing our other character that's Wakandan, and their motives are because Zemo killed their king. They want him dead.
Yeah, so...
More drama?
Yeah, so I'm wondering what element that throws into the show. Is that just... there's another person wanting to kill Zemo, so Bucky and Sam have to protect Zemo from the Wakandans as well? Is that where this is going?
Or what they can do is either make a deal, once the three of us get the serum, we can be like, you can have Zemo, and that's why he's like, oh, you made a deal. Well, that's why they...
Yeah, that could work. So I guess we'll find out what element of the Wakandans add to it, and wonder if it changed with the passing of the Black Panther, whether he was going to be in the show, and now they've had to change it.
Yeah, that would have been cool to have Black Panther be the one that actually... That would have made more sense, but he passed away. Yeah,
and I wonder what that actually means. Yeah, for like I'm possibly it's changed the show. He may have been the character they intended to have there. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out more.
And we haven't actually got a post-credit scene yet. If you've noticed, 3 episodes and we haven't got a post-credit scene. Unlike in WandaVision, we got decent amount of post-credit scene.
I've been watching it to see if there is any, and they haven't chucked them in. So
no,
don't know.
So if I comparing WandaVision to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're basically halfway in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we're WandaVision 9, so I guess halfway is 4 or 5. What are you feeling between the shows?
Well, at about the same point in each show, so after 3 episodes of WandaVision, it starts to make sense. And 3 episodes into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're learning more. We kind of know what's going on, but we've also had a whole lot of fun along the way. So I think it's probably ahead of it in terms of if you were to watch the 2 shows and try and say which one you enjoyed more after 3 episodes, I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier would be ahead. But I guess I'd be very surprised if it didn't continue to get better.
Mm.
If it had a poor ending, I'd be very surprised. We watched a few videos where people are like, I never want to watch WandaVision again. Like, that's it. I've had enough. I'm not going to watch any more Marvel stuff. They've ruined it for me, which I don't get. I don't agree. But I think Falcon the Winter Soldier, I think most people could like it at this point. Where WandaVision, there's a lot of people that said, oh, you got to persist. After 3 episodes, it gets better. It gets better. No one's saying that about this show. It's good from the beginning, so... What do you think? Which one have you enjoyed more after 3 episodes?
Well, the good thing about them is that they're different for different sort of people. Like, if you want mystery in WandaVision and you don't know what's going on, it kind of suits that. But in Falcon and the Winter Soldiers, the action is there. It starts off with good character development. Like, you think... I thought Zemo was going to be the main villain, but there's sort of different sort of villains, but they have their motives, and I would say the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it probably appeals to more people that like Marvel, because it feels more like a Marvel show, if that makes sense. WandaVision feels more like a show that it differs from the common denominator. I think that's the main thing that appeals and that is better. But
I agree. I think Falcon the Winter Soldier is more enjoyable, but I think WandaVision's like very unique and creative. So I have a feeling I might like WandaVision more in that sense by the time the series finishes, because it's so different. But Falcon's probably going to be more fun. Yeah.
So I guess for our next video, we'll be reacting to the Loki trailer reaction. What's your expectations for Loki?
Well, given that the 2 shows, or the 1.5 shows I've seen so far from Disney Plus have been pretty good, I reckon it's going to be pretty awesome, and there's probably a reason why they've left it to last. So whether that means it's the best or whether it means it's the most influential to the future movies, we'll find out. But I'm looking forward to it. And then obviously tonight the next episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out, so we'll be doing a discussion next week as well on...
Yeah, only got 3 more to go.
Yeah, so we're getting there. So is that 3 more including this one?
We're halfway.
Because there's 6 in total.
Yeah,
right?
We're halfway.
Okay.
So thanks for coming to talk about the episode. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Thank you for watching. Let the force be with you. See you next time. Bye-bye.